I'm going to explain a bit about the way I like to hold the bow, and I recommend holding the bow. First off is placement of the thumb. I always contact the bow with the very tip of my thumb. I don't use the more pad part of my thumb because that tends to lead your thumb to banana out, which tenses up this muscle and gives you less control. And so if you place the tip of your thumb on the bow, like I'm showing here, that allows your thumb to curve outward and giving you a bit more control with the thumb muscle. So where I place the thumb, here's my frog stick. You can kind of see on my rubber cushion that I have on my bow, where I usually put my thumb. Here's the frog, and the front edge of the frog is right about here. And where the frog meets the stick, it's an octagon. So I kind of stick it on that side bottom facet against the front part of the frog. So it's kind of looking like that. I'll give some different angles. That's what my bow hold looks like from the back. And this is what it looks like from my view. Alright, so that's what my thumb is doing, and it's tucked in there, so I feel both the stick and the front part of the frog against the tip of my thumb, and it's nice and locked in there. Now what I do with the rest of my fingers, I think I usually have just place them perpendicular to the stick. So perpendicular meaning like my fingers go directly across the stick, up and down here, and they kind of lay over the frog. You can see my pinkies kind of rest over the middle of the frog here. I think my middle finger tends to rest over the silver ferrule, and my ring finger is just kind of in between. My index finger, if I were to count my knuckles, I would call this my first knuckle, my second knuckle, and my third knuckle. So this is where I put my index finger on the stick, is at the first knuckle. So I don't wrap it up like that. That gives you less control in my experience. But right here is a nice place to hold the stick against the index finger. So this is what my bow hold looks like. I don't recommend angling your fingers like this, because then you have less control with your finger muscles that way, because the bow sit in your hand. And what that actually does with the sound and with the bow stroke, I'm gonna lower this camera. So if I angle my fingers like this, what it ends up doing is it kind of makes it so that I can't move my wrist in the way I want to keep the bow as straight as I'd like. I don't always want my bow to crescendo with each down bow. Sometimes that's helpful. There's other ways to do that with maintaining control. I think it's more practical and helpful to have the perpendicular fingers against the stick, or even to maybe let your fingers angle towards this back corner of the frog. And what that looks like when I bow, like this. So my down bow looks like this. I let my wrist, my elbow, my wrist extend so that my bow kind of stays parallel to the bridge. Starts to bend a little bit to kind of accommodate that. So the bow is kind of going in more or less of a straight line or straight track that's parallel to the bridge, which you can see right here. So if I demonstrate that again, here you can see my bow hold. If I'm doing this or this, it's kind of similar. So I think the angle of the fingers is really important because that influences how your hand is able to move with the bow stroke. So I think sometimes I've seen people do this, but more often you're going to see bass players that use this, and I think that works very well. That's what I recommend doing.